As a filmmaker, especially in the travel space, I meet a lot of people. And I mean a lot. Most of them are just buddies during my time in each country, but some of them actually turn into friends, and when those friends also happen to work in the travel space, we occasionally end up in the same places. And that's exactly what happened to Felix and me. Felix is also an adventure and travel filmmaker, and as I was just hanging around in Mexico working on my last video, which you hopefully saw, he texted me and asked me what my future plans are because he was heading to Peru. And obviously, me, who has never been in South America so far, had to say yes.
La supiste hacer, se acabó fácil tu querer, ya me tocaba a mí perderla, doy por buena. Difícil de creer, pero al cabo yo me confié, nomás cierra la puerta bien pa' que no vuelvas.
I actually wanted to tell you the story about all the things we experienced in Peru. From Machu Picchu to the Rainbow Mountains and all the way to one of my favorite moments, sandboarding in Huacachina. Don't get me wrong, it was absolutely insane. But if you know me, you probably already know that I like to tell more adventurous stories. I want more stakes, danger, or a proper challenge. That's when Felix, myself and Moritz, probably the funniest guy on the trip, decided to head into the Amazon. This is the perfect destination for a proper story. I mean, it's the Amazonas. Spiders, anacondas, dangerous tribes. What else do you want? But is it actually that dangerous? And how do you even find all those things? That's exactly what we asked ourselves and wanted to find it out firsthand. Alright, we officially made it to the Peruvian Amazonas. That's right, we went to the Peruvian part of the Amazon, to be precise to Puerto Maldonado. The Amazon is in fact so big that it lives in 9 different countries across South America. Usually people go to the Brazilian part, but as we were already traveling in Peru, it made the most sense for us to explore the southern part. Something we discovered already on the drive into the city was that we are not allowed to go into the Amazon without a guide, which makes 100% sense. So after some asking around, we met John, or Jon, who is an Amazon veteran, you could say, and was the perfect guide for our next few days. I also partnered with Safety Wing on this video. In my opinion, it's the best travel medical insurance you can get out there. It's completely customizable, so it fits perfectly with my needs. But more of that later in the video. Alright. First 10 minutes and we already ran into our first issue because we actually planned on going to the native community where they make their own bows and shit and arrows and actually live like with the jungle, which is absolutely insane. Would be so cool to document, and right now they told us that they don't have the permit for that and they need to ask, and it's apparently a big process, and the guy in there wasn't really helpful, but or didn't seem like he was keen on helping us. Anyway, they gave us an alternative which is going to a native family, but we will still try to make it happen. Besides that, I think this is gonna be a really cool trip because we are gonna see a lot of night walks and everything. So anyway, we are repacking things right now because we are heading to the jungle now, and they told us it would be better if we don't bring all the bags because obviously we have to walk a lot. Finally, on the way to the Amazon, John told us how the next few days will look like. We're basically going to stay in cabins next to the Amazon River and will explore the different parts of the jungle from there. Early mornings and late nights are on the schedule as we will match our time with the animals living there. But as it was our first time in the Amazon, John had to stop at the market next to the road to show us the local fruits. First banana from the Amazon. Fucking amazing. So sweet. Jetzt mal richtig krass im Mund rein. Geil. Okay, very exciting. I think we're gonna take a boat now. In the Amazonas River. I can't believe that I'm ever gonna say this in my whole life, but yeah, taking the boat on the Amazonas River. This is probably the bad boy we're gonna take. Okay, here we are. So a little boat for the next good bit. Man, I need to get a haircut. We don't just take the boat for fun. In fact, that's how most of the people, if not all of them, travel through here. The river stretches across the entire Amazon, which makes it the perfect path to travel across it, which also means that we will spend a lot of time on one of these boats in the next few days. Alright, it's like 4 a.m. right now. We're gonna meet up with our little guide now, because we're gonna take a boat for the next hour and a half down the river, where we're potentially gonna see some jaguars, because with the sun rising they apparently gonna come down to the water to get some water though, so that's gonna be cool. And yeah, full-blown mission. Feeling like Indiana Jones, my guy. I wish I could have slept for another few hours, but so is life. Anyway, I'll see you on the boats. Waking up at 4 a.m. might sound extreme, but here in the Peruvian jungle, it's the only way to beat the heat and witness nature in its truest form. As the sun rises, the forest comes alive with it. This is prime time for the birds. We're heading out to see the parrots and macaws gathered at the clay licks, where they eat the mineral-rich clay to detoxify their diets. It's a riot of colors and noise which you can't see later in the day. Plus, the early morning light is the best time to spot a bunch of howler monkeys and capuchins moving through the canopy before the jungle gets too hot and quiet. But just as the jungle settles down for the night, a whole new cast of characters wakes up. Going out after sunset feels like stepping into a different world. The air changes, the sounds get closer, and the darkness forces you to rely on your senses and a good flashlight. Not the one on your phone, which I'm using for example. It's really bad. This is when we start searching the riverbanks for the glowing red eyes of caimans lurking in the water. With a little bit of luck, you can also spot a capybara sitting next to the water edge. And if we venture into the forest on a night walk, we enter the domain of tarantulas, glowing insects, and the elusive night monkeys. The night walks are honestly the most intense ones. You literally can't see anything if you don't point your flashlight anywhere, but you hear the sounds of the jungle all around you. This is something you get pretty used to after a while, as soon as you realize that nothing is jumping out of nowhere, as you actually have to make an effort to be quiet to see the animals at night. Alright, so we just had another 4 a.m. call to make it all the way down here by boat. Obviously we have to wake up with wildlife, and we just made it to a very special place which is called Lago Sandoval or Lake Sandoval, which is basically a new lake. New because here in the Amazon there's obviously the Amazon River going through, and with all the rain, landslides and everything, there's a certain amount of terraforming happening, which essentially means that at some point the river is changing directions, and then there's a leftover part of the river, and that leftover part is turning into a lake, which now turned into a retreat for the entire wildlife. It's super beautiful, but obviously over the years this lake is turning into more like a muddy area in hundreds of years probably, but right now we're able to check it out, and gonna see some really cool wildlife there, and I think this is gonna be really cool. You're basically looking at a scar on the landscape where the river used to flow. The Amazon is alive. It moves, it shifts, and sometimes it just decides to take a shortcut. When that happens, it leaves behind what's called an oxbow lake. To the wildlife, this is prime real estate. These calm cut-off waters become nurseries for fish and hunting grounds for giants. This very spot is where we are hoping to spot a legendary river otter or see the eyes of a black caiman surfacing at the banks. The river may have moved on, but life here is just getting started.
poison, hemotoxic.
So something crazy just happened. It was just Felix just spotted a snake, which turned out to be a super venomous snake, because apparently if it bites you, you stop bleeding out of your nose, ears and eyes. So funny. Yeah, just a little reminder that you have to be kind of like careful, even though you walk on a normal pathway like that, which is like so civilized, but there's things hiding in the bushes everywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere. Alright. It's a wild reminder that in the Amazon, you never really know what's waiting around the next corner. One moment you're walking through the jungle, the next you're face to face with something that could change everything. You hope for the best, but you have to be prepared for the unexpected. And honestly, that philosophy doesn't just apply deep in the jungle. It also applies back home. Life is unpredictable. You never know when a situation is going to pop up when you least expect it. Something that requires backup. Something that requires protection. That's why I'm partnered with Safety Wing on this video. Because just like having a good guide here in the Amazon, having the right coverage means you can face the unexpected with confidence. Whether it's the Essential Plan, which is emergency focused and also offers add-ons like Adventure Sport or Electronic Theft, for example, or the Complete Plan, which combines the essential features plus comprehensive health coverage. So you can focus on the adventure, knowing you're protected if things take an unexpected turn. And if you have any questions, their customer support is lightning fast. Check out the link below to learn more about Safety Wing and how they can help you navigate the surprises of everyday life. Minus the venomous snakes, obviously. Alrighty. Good morning from this very humid place. My hair is saying it's humid, my clothes is saying it's humid, because when I started to wear them, it was still wet. And it was not because I was sweaty or it was raining yesterday. It's because of the humidity. Anyway, something really exciting happened yesterday night. We got confirmation that we are able to go to the native tribes. So really cool. The only downside is that they're not like super remote. They're like half I would say, which means they are already in contact with civilization. The kids are already going to school, university, but the older generation at the tribe is still holding on to the traditions, which means they're still hunting, they're still living off their own crops, so not crops, their own crops. So having their own farms and everything, which is exciting. It's cool to see how this works and how they live. And if you're asking, oh, why don't you go to like the real ones? Yeah, the real ones are very territorial, which means they are known for killing people as soon as they enter their space. So obviously don't want to risk that. So we take the half route. I know, bummer. So why exactly are we not visiting one of the isolated tribes? The ones you see in documentaries living completely off-grid. Well, those communities are called indigenous people in isolation. They live deep in the reserve with no sustained contact with the outside world. Not just because they choose to, but because contact can actually be dangerous for them. They have no immunity to common illness, so outsiders are strictly prohibited from going near them. To visit communities like that, you need months of planning, special government permits and authorization from the tribes themselves. It's a whole process, which we just couldn't organize in such a short notice. So instead, we're here with the native family that opened their home to us. They still hold onto their traditions, the language, the crafts, the way of life passed down for generations. But they also live alongside the modern world. It's the best of both worlds. An authentic cultural experience with the chance to actually sit down, share a meal and connect. Alright, so each one of us just got an indigenous name. Chahaoshe, Chipo. And what was yours? Yasus. Basically, based on the animals we like or we saw here in the Amazonas, which is kind of funny. Yeah, we learned a lot, honestly. They are very close to nature. Let me just tell you about it while I put up our shoes. Very close to nature. They basically thank everyone. Hello. Thank the land, the plants, the trees every single day, and every single time before they enter the jungle, they kind of like apologize or ask for permission before they go hunting, saying that they need it for their community and the people because it's necessary, and they never go to the same place twice because that's not how they act, basically. So they always go to one spot, and the next day they go to a different spot and different spot and different spot before they go to the same place again to give babies the chance. And they never hunt babies, only adults, and they're super respectful when it comes to that. And yeah, so interesting how they basically live with nature in the most respectful way, you could say. They still hold onto their old ways, the language, the crafts, the knowledge of the jungle that's been passed down for generations. The chief can still name every single plant, every animal, every sound the forest makes. That knowledge is priceless, and it's still alive here. But things are changing, slowly. You see it in small details. The solar panels on the roof for charging a phone, the son who goes into town for school and comes back with stories from the internet. They're building a new house, not just from palm trees and leaves, but with wooden walls and a metal roof. More comfortable, more durable. And honestly, who can blame them? We romanticize the idea of people living traditionally because it feels authentic to us. But if you grew up here and you saw that a metal roof means no more leaking when it rains, that the phone means you can stay in touch with family who moved to the city, of course you want that. It's not about abandoning who you are, it's about making life a little easier while still holding onto your roots. That's the reality of the Amazon today. It's not frozen in time, it's living, breathing and evolving, just like the river that shapes it. And as we get ready to leave this place, to trade the sounds of the jungle for the noise of the city, I can't shake that feeling that I'm leaving something behind unfinished. This wasn't the Amazon story I expected to tell. I came here looking for danger, for the extreme, for the isolated tribes and the survival challenge I'd always imagined. And sure, we got a taste of the wild. Enough to know that the jungle doesn't play games. But what I'm leaving with is something different. A deep respect for this place, for the people who navigate it every single day, and a massive appreciation for how complex it actually is to experience the real Amazon. The isolated tribes, the deep jungle survival I originally wanted, that takes months of planning, permits and a proper guide who knows exactly what they're doing. We couldn't organize any of that in such a short notice, and honestly, after being here, I'm glad we didn't try. The Amazon humbles you real quick if you're not prepared. So this trip, this was just the beginning. A little appetizer, if you will. I got a taste of the Amazon, I saw what's possible, and now I know exactly what I'll take to come back here properly prepared. Better gear, more time, and the right team to go deeper. Much deeper. Because the Amazon isn't done with me yet, and honestly, I'm not done with it either. This was just the first chapter, and I'm super excited for whatever comes next.